You're watching San Francisco Rising with Chris Manners. Today's special guest is Manohar Raju.
Hi, I'm Chris Manners and you're watching San Francisco Rising, the show that's about restarting, rebuilding, and reimagining our city. Our guest today is Manohar Raju, San Francisco's public defender. Mr. Raju, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great that you could be here with us today. So first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became San Francisco's public defender, and then maybe touch on why it's really important to provide legal representation to people who can't afford counsel themselves, particularly people in our marginalized communities?
Of course. I started as a public defender in Contra Costa County. I graduated from Berkeley Law School, and I was a line deputy in Contra Costa County for a number of years. And then Jeff Adachi recruited me to San Francisco, my predecessor, the former elected public defender of San Francisco. And I began as a line deputy here. And then subsequently, he asked me to become the training director and then one of the managers of the felony unit, which is the unit handling the most serious cases. After he tragically passed away, I was appointed to become the public defender and then elected and just recently reelected. But when I think about what, the origin story of coming to the public defender's office, actually, I'd like to start with my parents. My parents come from a farming village in India, and my dad was the first in his family to finish high school, but I feel there were a couple people in his village who really saw him and encouraged his parents to be allowed to pursue further studies and eventually immigrate to this country. And when I think of what public defenders do, I think one of the most important things we do is to truly see our clients so that they can hopefully realize their full potential. That's very important to me and to our office and the culture of our office. The right to a public defender was developed in 1963 in the famous Gideon case that ensured the right to a public defender. And we take that very seriously in our office. My vision is that anyone in our office should be representing the people we represent in the same way they would want their loved one to be represented. And I'd like people to think that if you have a public defender representing you in San Francisco, you're going to get better representation than if you had a private attorney. We're going to leave no stone unturned, leave no motion unfiled, and really try to perform at the highest level for our clients.
No, that's fantastic. So now, often when people think of public defenders, they just sort of jump to the idea of somebody defending somebody in court. But your office does an awful lot more than just straightforward courtroom representation. Can you talk a little about that?
That's true. I'm an elected public defender, and I campaigned on this, that it's really important to me that we sort of break the mold of what's possible for a public defender's office to accomplish. Now, fiercely defending our clients is the bread and butter and the core of what we do, and that's never going to go away. As the only elected public defender, we have to be aware that there's an elected district attorney and elected sheriff in every county in this state, but there's only one elected public defender. So it's very important that our office push the envelope and be engaged in national and statewide and local policy decisions that are going to impact community health, public safety, and our clients. So we have a local policy director, state policy director. We're very active in Sacramento in trying to make the law change in order to be a more humane system for our clients. We're also a big believer in advocating for community power. We have two 501c3s, Be Magic and Mo Magic, in the Bayview and the Fillmore part of San Francisco that have now combined to be Mo Magic, one 501c3 that's under the umbrella of the Public Defender's Office. These are youth empowerment organizations that do programming throughout the summers. We just did two backpack giveaways to give kids backpacks and school supplies to start the school year. And we really believe that engaging youth will hopefully prevent them from becoming our clients in the first place and really put people on a path to really thrive. We also have a program called the End the Cycle program, where we have culturally competent social workers going into the jails, meeting people when they first arrive and trying to figure out what does this individual need. We're going to fight for their best legal outcome in the case. And from that position of trust, and that the Fifth Amendment protects the conversations that our clients can have with us. So we can then use that to really encourage, in a trusting relationship and telling us exactly what they need, being totally frank with us, and then maybe connecting that individual with whether it's substance abuse counseling or a mentor or housing or employment opportunities, educational opportunities. What is it that an individual needs in order to thrive and reach their full potential? And so that's another piece of what we do. We have 17 units across our department, and we take collaborating across units is something that we try to do every single day in order to really meet our mission, vision, and values.
Well, and I'm sure part of that is ensuring that recidivism doesn't reoccur.
Of course, the last thing a public defender wants to see is a client return to be a client of ours again. So we work very intentionally from the moment we start representing a client with our skilled social worker staff and other members of our team to try to figure out what is that future going to be for the client when they officially leave our care.
So now, some critics argue that public defenders have a very heavy caseload. How is your office managing with that? And what issues are most important to you?
Yeah, we do have a very heavy caseload. Unfortunately, and this is a problem across the country, public defenders are not funded equally to district attorneys' offices. Our funding is about 61% of the district attorney's office, and the police department has about 14 times our budget. And then there's also the sheriff's department, parole, probation, and anytime any of these entities are detaining our clients in some way, it's up to us to defend. So that's something we're working on locally and also nationwide to try to change that, because we just simply need more staff in every wing of our office. Our logo for office is greater than one. So we know that we need to be greater than one individual in the office and make sure we use our teams effectively and strategically and skillfully and just put in more hours to make sure we can, reveal truth and make justice happen in courtrooms. Greater than one also symbolizes the fact that we are collaborating with other community-based organizations in order to try to, support and help our clients and move policies that will actually help our clients. An example of that is the pretextual stop campaign, where we collaborated with about 100 to 110 organizations throughout the city to convince the police commission to pass a general order that stops some of the traffic stops for really de minimis things that don't impact public safety at all, but then led to often confrontational interactions between police and civilians. And we wanted to minimize that, both because of the shootings that a lot of us have read about, but even sometimes the violence of that interaction, kids in the car, and that tragic occurrence that could happen. And by collaborating, we can exponentially be more powerful than just the sheer numbers in our organization.
Sure. So, like cities across the country, San Francisco has been struggling with a fentanyl crisis and homelessness. How can your office sort of contribute to help mitigate or solve those problems?
Well, one thing that we can do, and again, it's oftentimes in conjunction with community-based organizations, is to really try and figure out how we address the demand. Treatment on demand, again, finding people opportunities, whether it's housing or employment opportunities, mitigation or just any form of counseling that helps people move in a more positive direction in a way that's more inviting to them as opposed to coercive. Right now we don't have enough beds for everyone in the city who needs that type of intensive treatment. So, contributing to policy efforts to get more funding for people to actually get the treatment that they need. Because the reality is there's always going to be someone to fill the need to come in and sell if there's a demand there. But if we actually work on the demand, which is an evidence-based philosophy of dealing with addiction, then I think we'll move in a more positive direction.
So then finally, what else would you like the residents of San Francisco to know about you and your office?
Well, I think what I'd like the San Francisco residents to know is how important it is that the public defender be very aggressive. Right now, we've had a huge backlog of cases in San Francisco. There were over 1,000 cases past the last day. We have a right to a speedy trial, and we have so many cases that were past the last day. So we actually had to become a plaintiff along with taxpayers against the court. And I think it's very important that we have an independent public defender that's willing to do that. And we got a good decision from a court of appeal, and now the courts have moved much quicker and are honoring our client's last day. But that also went in conjunction with some effort from our policy team to have sit-ins at 850 Bryant, which is where the courthouse is, to draw attention to this issue. So I think it's really important that we have an aggressive public defender, and also when someone gets convicted of something they did not do, and that can often happen through plea it doesn't just impact them, it impacts their family and potentially even the next generation. The clients we represent are also greater than one. And that's why it's really important that we fiercely defend. And at the same time, because when someone gets convicted of something that they didn't do, they're much less likely to later on access the job they need for stability or the housing they need for stability. And then that's going to impact a lot of people, which can then lead to, more issues on the streets and potentially affect public safety, right? But also to realize that we are a public safety organization. We have social workers, so we take that social worker mentality and supportive, facilitative approach with our clients and really try to get our clients to a better place. And when our clients get to a better place, we're all safer.
Well, thank you, Mr. Raju, for the time you've given us today. We really appreciate the work your department is doing.
Well, thank you so much for your interest in the department. I wanted to say if anyone wants to know more about a lot of the initiatives and different units in our department, they can go to YouTube, and we have a Daring Defender series. I think people have heard of Progressive Prosecutors, but we're Daring Defenders, and people should look at that to learn more about some of the different units. Also, we've talked about some of the debilitating impact of convictions. We have a very, very vibrant clean slate program where we're expunging, hundreds and hundreds of records every year. And people can go to our website, sfpublicdefender.org, and learn how to get their records cleaned up so they can move their lives in a more positive direction.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it for this episode. We'll be back with another one shortly. For SFGovTV, I'm Chris Manners. Thanks for watching.